Hi, how are you? Hi, Art Lives. I'm gonna do this, show you the cover. This is I think there's two other covers. I'm not sure. But this was Yewande Omotoso's first book. Remember last week we read from The Woman Next Door? So this is her first. Let's see. Let me turn the camera around. Hey guys, I'm tired of my hair, so I ended up I'm only seeing myself for the first time now after doing it. Sorry, hold on. It's cold. Hey, Miss Weiner. How are you? How's everybody? So, I'm gonna read the back of the book and then I'll start reading. Hey, Tlhogi. Hello. What's up? So today I'm reading for you a book I haven't read yet. I bought it at the Commune. Thanks. It took me like 2 hours. I bought this at the Commune in Braamfontein. I don't know if any of you guys have been to the Commune, but it's a lovely space. It is a reference library, a coffee shop, a chill spot. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And then across from it, it's got a place called The Forge. They play they do art exhibitions, and they play movies sometimes, like from a screen and a projector. They do the same with the Commune, but yeah. So this is where I bought it. I love the books. Maybe have books. Ha! Tlhogi, are you sure? These books. You have lots and lots of books, and you asking. Hi, Nikki. So Tlhogi is asking, hey, chicken natives, you guys have so many books, and you're asking for books from me? Look at my modest library. Oh, my God, guys. It's so tiny. So tiny. Okay, so today I'm going to read Bom Boy. Let me read the back of the book and then I'll start reading for you guys. And then after this, we are going to go listen in on the Chicken Natives. Okay. So we're going to watch Karabo Khuleng take over the Chicken Natives Instagram page at 6 o'clock. Okay. So let me read until past. Have any of you guys read this book? Hey, Olofinwa. How are you? I mean, Letlogonolo's got so many books, and he actually has covers, different covers. Like I have this. Remember, I said there's two other covers of this. I think there's other covers. Letlogonolo buys two covers, one like an international cover, and then the next thing. Hi Senzo. So I'm reading this. Let me read the back and then we'll start with the reading. Leke is a troubled young man living in the suburbs of Cape Town. He develops strange habits of stalking people, stealing small objects and going from doctor to doctor in search of companionship rather than cure. Through a series of letters written to him by his Nigerian father, whom he has never met, Leke learns about a family curse, a curse which his father had unsuccessfully tried to remove. Bom Boy is a well-crafted and complex narrative written with a sensitive understanding of both the smallness and magnitude of a single life. Okay, I'm going to read... this was published by Mochachi Books. Yeah. I'm going to read Yewande's profile, and then we'll start. Hi, Blackbird Books. What's up? Yewande Omotoso was born in Barbados and grew up in Nigeria with her Nigerian father, West Indian mother, and 2 older brothers. She and her family moved to South Africa in 1992 and have lived there ever since. She is an architect, space and buildings being a passion of hers, second only to words and literature. She currently lives in Cape Town, working as a designer, freelance writer, and novelist. Hi. So yes, like I said, I bought this at the commune. And yeah, this was 200. Okay, this is Bom Boy. Have any of you guys read anything by Yewande? I think she's got 2 books. I stand to be corrected. And have any of you guys gone to check out the commune, which is in Braamfontein? I sometimes go when I go to... I actually went... The last time I went past them after a trip from Bridge Books at the CBD. So I do one trip, just so if I don't ever come back again after like months, then I've already done like 2 trips. So yes, they are they're amazing. They've got like, I think they opened last year October. Ms. Wana says I haven't read any of her books. Same here. I also haven't read any of her books. I read for you guys The Woman Next Door last week. Remember how I was laughing out loud at okay, Nikki says she has gone to the commune, but they didn't have a lot of books at the time. Oh, okay. They have a very limited amount of fiction, though. Thank you for supporting independent bookshops. Always, always, always. Guys, please support independent bookshops. They are like, they need the support right now. Okay, I'm going to start reading now and stop blabbering. Friday 13th, July 2001. Friday 13th. Wait. So, Simule, have you read any of Yewande? I think last week you said you read The Woman Next Door. Does Yewande have any other books? Do you know? Besides Bom Boy, and because it doesn't say if this is her second. This is her first. But okay, I'll check on The Woman Next Door. A thing had begun to grow like a tree in Leke Denton's throat. It was the same thing that grew when he was picked for the school play, and it was there when he was later cut from the cast. It was there when girls glanced away as he walked down the corridors. An invisible rash. As the day approached, Leke dreaded turning 9. Jane had mentioned to him that they would have a party to celebrate. This was something that had never happened before. Why? He was helping her in the kitchen. It's a special one, she said, dusting flour off his nose. Last of the 1 digits. Next is 10. 2 numbers instead of 1. Oh, okay. So you've only read the Woman Next Door. Okay, cool. Leke was certain that having his own party was a bad idea, but this certainty only existed during the day. At school, he moved from class to class, a watery feeling, his hearing dulled as if his head were submerged in liquid. He could barely hear what people said, barely talk back. How would he host a party? In his dreams at night, though, there was no question that he could be the life of a party. He stood surrounded by a crowd of boys. They were laughing and patting him on the back. They played on the school cricket grounds, and Leke hit a century, running the pitch he tripped on during the day to a chorus of sniggers. Cardboard boy, the other kids called him because of the strange crackers Jane packed on his lunchbox. Or kid for hire, because one of the older boys had seen Jane and Marcus at the parents' evening and worked out that Leke was adopted. Kids are mean though, guys. Oof, kids are so mean. Along with the threat of a party, the other thing that changed with the coming of his birthday was the way Marcus treated him. Leke walked towards the familiar red car, but was surprised to find a balding head and heavy brown leather jacket in place of Jane's blonde hair peeping from underneath a scarf. Hey there, Marcus leaned across to unlock the passenger door. Leke settled himself. Good day? How was cricket practice? Someone had tripped him. He'd got grass in his mouth. Fine. Marcus pulled off the verge. Going past the rope shop, all right? I'm taking you out sailing this weekend. Early gift. He looked over at Leke. At the red traffic light, he reached his arm across and ruffled Leke's afro. Okay, where'll we go? We'll leave from the waterfront, just go around the bay. I want to show you the view of Cape Town from sea. It's great, you'll love it. Okay. Jane spat into the sink. Does he even want to sail? She shouted to Marcus, who was in the adjoining bedroom. She rinsed her toothbrush and placed it in the porcelain holder, studying herself briefly. Leke 9 and she'd be 49, she sighed. He seems okay about it, Marcus answered. Come on, Jane, it's time he came out more. Always shuffling around and playing by himself. Marcus removed his robe and climbed into the large bed covered in white linen. He reached for the pile of books and papers balanced on his bedside table and swished on the wall light positioned above his head. And the whole cricket thing? Jane asked, walking into the room, her hands smoothing over her short hair that had thankfully started growing back. Can stop with the scarves now, she thought, sitting on the edge of the bed and pulling off a pair of grey woolen socks. She touched her hair again. Yes, just long enough to stop the scarves. Her regular ritual of putting on face cream had ended months before, but tonight, maybe it was the growing hair, she enjoyed the cool paste against her skin and the glow it left on her cheekbones. She smoothed balm over her lips and turned from the dresser to join her husband in bed. Marcus, she studied him, noticing a slight punch where he leaned over where he read. Graying temples, sunburnt, bald pate. Marcus looked up. The cricket team? He said he didn't want to play anymore. The school was happy for him to play chess. Well, I spoke to the coach. It's good for him, Jane. He'll get used to it. Don't worry so much. He leaned across and kissed her on the cheek. He'll be okay. They held a gaze for a few seconds. Marcus stroked her back and Jane remembered strong arms. That was the first thing she'd noticed about him 20 years ago when they'd met. And beautiful hands. When courting, he'd sent her photographs of fossils, and she'd written him poetry, a progression of woos until she'd finally written, let's grow old together, the way green leaves turn brown together and fall from trees. Let's grow old together, the way blossoms curl up and their colors softly stir. Let's grow old and die together. What happened? Jane asked herself. Marcus had gone back to his scripts but noticed her frozen in thought. Are you okay? It's nothing. Marcus smoothed a defiant tuft of her hair and smiled. He put away his papers and switched off the light, coaxing her head onto his chest. Jane fell asleep to the rhythm of his low hum snoring. You listening? Marcus shouted at Leke over the dining table on which were arranged a display of sailing knots. Leke nodded. Okay, good. Let's get right in. Which knot do you want to learn first? Leke scanned the table. Marcus had taken care to cover it with plastic before laying out the knotted ropes. He tied 2 of the knots using white rope around grey metal bars that had clanked when he'd laid them down. For the other knots, he used red and green rope woven together. Leke pointed to those. Very good. Sheet bend and reef knot. Let's start with reef knot. He collected Leke in his arms and settled on the chair. Ah, you're getting big, my boy. Leke's heart pounded. Sitting on Marcus, Leke's limbs, long for his age, straddled the man's lap and his tennis shoes scraped the floor. With his arms around Leke, Marcus picked up one of the red and green knots and said, This one, reef knot or square knot, is easy. You do it every day with your laces. Marcus pumped his thigh to emphasize his point, and Leke's shoes made scuffing noises on the beige tiles. Are you watching? He said as he untied and began retying the reef knot. Leke nodded. He wished Jane would come and break this up, but they'd left her in the garden. Marcus had insisted Leke stop digging and come and learn a real skill. Jane had frowned, but in that way, that didn't mean anything. Leke had seen her frown other times in ways that did mean something, like when he tried to explain the itch in his throat to her. It was happening now all over again. Leke rubbed his throat, but he couldn't get at the tightness. You okay, Leke? It's scratching. Where? Marcus challenged, but he called Jane, who rescued Leke from the knot lesson. Jane could always get at the itch by placing her hands on his throat. Her presence alone made the irritation disappear. Leke stuffed the A5-sized Spider-Man invitations Jane insisted he distribute into his locker and left them there. Should I call the mothers? Jane wondered out loud at dinner when no responses had come and the birthday was 3 days away. Leke sat at one end of the short wooden table, Marcus on the other, and Jane in the middle, along the length of the table. Leke played with the lettuce Jane had harvested from her vegetable patch, stabbing it with his fork. Marcus, studying the boy, said, I think it's fine, Jane. What do you mean it's fine? Maybe let us celebrate, you know? Don't really feel like a horde of marauding kids stampeding through the house. Lightness is away. We'd have to do the cleanup ourselves. Jane stared long at Marcus and then at Leke. After another few minutes, Marcus leaned over and squeezed Jane's shoulder. Let's do that then. Just us. He winked at Leke, who looked back down at his plate, stabbing the lettuce leaf one final time before shoving it into his mouth. Leke's 9th birthday passed at dinner with his adopted parents. There was no sailing. After Marcus's rescue of Leke from the humiliation of a party none of his classmates wanted to be at, he retreated back into what Leke recognized. Distant, breaking promises and blowing hot and cold. As a birthday gift, Leke received his wish. They bought him an atlas and a globe to place in his bedroom. Even though Marcus never took Leke sailing in life, in his dreams, they traveled the seas. During the September holidays, Leke spent his days either in the garden with Jane or on the cool wooden floor of his room, lying flat on his stomach, his arms propping up his head as he scoured the large atlas. The days mushed like pages on a forgotten book glued together by rain. Back at school, Leke struggled through, listening harder and raising his voice to be heard. At the end of each day, to stumble into his dreams, into a terrain he was adept at navigating, was a relief. The confusions of the day slipped off his skin like sweat. His dreams were often more real than real life. Leke cherished the characters he'd encountered, some recognizable from the daytime, some not, as well as the surge of joy in life that powered his sleep. The wind blew different, softer. A year later, when Leke turned 10, he owned a library of atlases and a collection of globes that ranged from a keyring to a basketball-sized sphere. Jane had fallen ill again, and her garden threatened to overrun itself in her absence. She'd asked Leke to care for it while she got her strength back and offered to pay him a stipend. "Then you'll take it seriously," she'd said. Also, do you guys pay your children to do stuff? Like, guys, like, no, don't do that. Actually, we do. We pay more to wash dishes. I think it's like a good incentive. I think. I don't know. I'm also enthralled by the poetic prose. I think Yewande writes beautifully. She's actually a poet in my head. Leke earned enough money gardening to tag along when Marcus did the grocery shopping and visit the second-hand bookshop opposite the spa to buy more atlases. "Don't you have enough of those, Leke?" "No." They drove back home in silence. With Jane ill, either in bed or in the hospital, the house had begun to change. "Set the table, I'll go collect Mom," Marcus said, dropping Leke off. They never answered his questions when he asked, and Leke was not allowed to come along to the hospital on either drop-offs or collections. "What's wrong with her?" He tried again. "Don't be difficult, Leke. She's not feeling well, that's all. Come on, we'll be back soon. Use this key. Remember to lock the door behind you." Nikki says, "Yewande writes beautifully. Please read her books." Oh my gosh, yes, we will. Michelle says, "Oh, she writes beautifully. A decent and very warm human being too." Yes. She is always so friendly and like, she's cool actually. Like every time I see her, she's like this cool person, like very approachable, and very welcoming, like nice. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, please get this book. This was 200 at the commune, but I'm not sure if Loot will have it cheaper. But yes. Cool. I think she's got cancer because in the beginning her hair was falling, or not falling, but it was like growing back again. So I think she was going through the word escapes me. What is it when cancer doesn't come back? Hi, Kirsten. So they never tell Leke what is wrong with her. So yeah. Leke thought he'd watch the car pull off, but Marcus kept the engine idling as he waited to see Leke safely in the house. His head hung down. Leke entered the house and locked the door behind him. He began to lay the table. Jane had been away for a week this time, and when they'd spoken on the phone 2 nights before, she'd sounded sad. Something made Leke think of Christmas and birthdays, happier times. There was a special cream-colored tablecloth Jane liked to use, hand-crocheted, she always said, with pride. She'd bought it at a farm stall on one of their forages through the countryside looking for flower shows. And they were her favorite placemats, white ducks waddling in front of a red background. Remembering where she kept them, Leke entered their bedroom and, watching his footing, climbed up the cupboard till he could reach the top section. His left foot was on a lower shelf and his right was bent and higher. He balanced himself by holding onto a strip of wood along the top of the open cupboard, and with his right hand he reached over his head at the top section. He heard the tap of his hand and he searched for the soft fabric. Got it. He pulled and let the tablecloth fall to the floor. Next, the box with the mats. He reached a bit deeper, straining and almost losing his balance. His shoulder was sore. He reached again and felt something round. Not it. Tired, he stepped his way back to the ground and collected the tablecloth. At least that would make her smile, he thought. But then something on the floor caught his eye. It was an old photograph, sepia-colored and stained at the back so Leke couldn't read what was written there. He wiped the dust off. A name, maybe. E something. He turned it around and saw the face of a woman he didn't know. He kept the photo, thinking that he could ask Jane when they were next gardening, just the two of them. He heard the slam of a car door and ran out to spread the tablecloth. Saturday, 25th July 1992. So it's going back in time, because when we started it was Friday 13th July 2001. Oscar ignored the cardboard-like prison fabric shuffling his skin. He took the pen and started writing. Dear Leke, I was 5 when I first heard my father sing. Okay, this is written in a different language, but I'll just read 2 sentences because it's a repetition of the one sentence. Babalawo mowa bebe aluk biwin ogun to se fun mi lere kan. Don't scare the boy with your stories, my mother would say. I can hear my father sing, feeling the vibration of his deep voice. His singing always makes me think of foam, of loam. Loam, what is loam? Loam. I don't know if that's because of his heavy, earthy voice or because invariably when there was singing we were on the farm. Lush soil, moist and almost black. Bom Boy, my father would say after we'd planted the yam samplings. That was his nickname for me, and it made me feel warm and part of something. Pidgin English for baby boy. Ah, okay. There was one particular story my father would tell me at the farm that I knew was not just a bedtime story. My mother had no reason to worry though. I wasn't scared by my father's singing and his talk of curses and witch doctors. The story made me feel important, and as I grew older, it leaned a sense of purpose to my life. Wednesday, 19th February 1992. As Oscar walked up towards Rhodes Memorial, the higher he got into the forest, the more the leaves sieved the noise from his head. The tangle of conversations got caught in the branches above. It was too late to go back. Oscar dug his hands into his pockets. His long legs took comfortable wide strides, the exertion and the crunch of the ground a welcome distraction. It was the middle of February, and each day the Cape Town sun poured itself out. Later, simmering, it lay down in nights that were dark but not cool. The air was palpable as students stumbled back onto the campus. In a stupor from the heat, alcohol, or the shock of work after being on holiday, Oscar couldn't tell. He checked his watch just after 7. He'd wait another few minutes before setting out. As he entered the parking lot, he noticed a short, plump girl with freckled cheeks and a skinny boy carrying a picnic basket between them, the handles at different heights, askew, the straw squeaking as they lumbered back down towards the campus. There was a scattering of tourists climbing up the giant granite steps of the monument. Along either side of the steps, 4 life-size bronze lions, blue-green from a century of oxidation, sat on their haunches. A little girl and a man stood by one of the granite flints. I don't know how to say this word. Plinths. Plinths. And with some difficulty, the man hoisted the girl onto the lion's back. A woman a few steps down took a picture. Oscar walked up the steps, grudgingly taking in the palm-to-cheek bust of Cecil John Rhodes, arranged on the top platform amidst imposing Doric columns. He turned to enjoy the view, the stoned terrace at the bottom of the monument, the curved stone wall, the forest with an army of towering skinny trees leaning away from the southeaster, and the familiar shapes and lines of the surrounding neighborhoods. Visiting the monument had become a ritual of Oscar's since he'd arrived from Nigeria 2 years ago to start his PhD in molecular and cell biology. The giant shrine to Rhodes contrasted with a simple life-size statue of the revered Moremi behind Oduduwa Hall back on Ile-Ife campus. Oscar remembered visiting the small courtyard as a little boy, a series of chalky statues memorializing Yoruba history. His favorite was Moremi, head bent, hands clasped together and resting on her raised thigh, the intricate detail of her braided hair in suku style. His father would lift him up so he could study the sculptured plaits. "That's the hairstyle of queens," his father would say for the 100th time. "Why?" "Because you see how all the hair bunches up in the center like that? Only women who don't need to carry produce to the market can afford to plait their hair that way. Queens." Was Moremi a queen? Not in the beginning, but she made a huge sacrifice and became one. How? Oscar walked down and back towards the parking lot. Moremi's story had dotted his childhood with the consistency of birthdays. Oscar was surprised on arriving at the university to find that some of the people he shared a lab with had never heard of Moremi. Some of them didn't even know where Nigeria was. "Pfft, I thought you were colored," one had said, confused by Oscar's clay-brown skin and curly hair. He'd inherited little of his father's deep chocolate complexion, and his light brown hair and Oyinbo mother had made him an easy target for teasing in primary school. The ignorance of his lab mates mixed with the opulence of Rhodes Memorial had brewed distaste in Oscar. Here in this country, he'd realized they memorialized wealthy men, thieves. Back home in Nigeria, simple people who sacrificed for the group. Many a late evening at the varsity rugby club, Oscar had found himself defending a country that faced derision amongst his South African colleagues. He needed every detail he could find to play the game of one-upmanship. The more beer consumed, the more animated and irrational the conversation. If Moremi got into a fight with Rhodes, she'd finish him off. Easy. Rubbish. There would be no fight. She'd be part of a mass of people building whatever roads had the foresight to envisage. Ha! Foresight my ass. How much foresight does it take to steal land? Crooks. Sometimes the evenings maintained a strained joviality, but often they ended in blatant tension. If his colleagues had listened, Oscar would have told them the way his father had told him the story of Moremi, who, leaving her only son and husband, offered herself as a pensioner when Ife was being invaded by neighboring Ugbo warriors. What are warriors? He'd asked his dad. He was 6 years old at the time. Fighters, soldiers, now listen and don't interrupt me. Oscar smiled and settled back into bed, enjoying how the springs bent towards his father's weight on the edge. He closed his eyes. Once Moremi was captured, the king noticed how beautiful she was and married her. She joined his house and also became part of the town. She learned all their secrets. What secrets, Daddy? The things they were hiding. Now listen. As soon as she found out how to defeat them, she ran away from the palace and returned to Ife. Where did she come to? Did she come here to Road 7? Or did she come to Staff School Hall or Staff Club? Shh! Don't interrupt. She returned to Ife. Back then, there was no Road 7 or Staff anything. She told the Ife army the secret, and soon the Ugbos were defeated. Moremi then went to Esin-Mirin. What is Esin-Sin? Esin-Mirin, the goddess of the river. Moremi went to her to make a sacrifice of thanks, an offering. She gave fowls and bullocks and sheep, but the goddess demanded her only son. What happened? Moremi threw her son into the raging river. Ife cried. His father always took long pauses as he neared the end of his stories. To comfort her, make her feel better, all the children of Ife took Moremi as a mother. So you see, Oscar, you have two mothers. Always remember that. He patted the blanket, a sign that he was about to get up and switch the lights off. Does that mean I got born 2 times? His father just smiled. Parents never answered the important questions. The sun dipped. A translucent orange peel coiled through the stone pines, the silver leaf and the rugged fynbos of the nature reserve. Oscar checked his watch again. Almost time. He walked back down to campus and set out. In his car, he switched on the radio. Although he couldn't hear it, his head was pounding, a jet of water gushing between his ears. Okay, so it goes back to 2012 now. And that's as far as I'll read. I'm now in page 18 of Bom Boy. So now we know that Bom Boy means baby boy. I'm going to stop there. But it does look like it goes back to current life and current time and a little bit of history with his father, because his father writes him letters, but now we've ascertained that his father is writing him letters from prison and he is adopted. So yeah, that was Bom Boy. Thank you guys for joining. There is 15 minutes till the Cheeky Natives go live with Karabo Khuleng. I'll see you guys on the other side of this. Happy weekend. Enjoy your Friday evening. And thank you guys for joining me. What did you think of... It is interesting. I feel like there's something wrong with them. Firstly with Leke. And I don't know why does his stepfather, his adoptive father, treat him differently once he turns 9 or 10 or whatever. But yeah, I'm intrigued. Sure. I'm also like, yeah, now I want to know what happens. I actually also like this picture of Yewande. I don't know if you can see it, but it's so dark. It's just like, it hides her other eye, but it's nice. I love it. I love the feel of this book, actually. I love the cover as well. It's just simple. And it looks like it's a picture of him in the garden. He's standing here. Or you could think that it's... thank you, Kirsten. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to go now. Okay, so we must get the book. Simole, so you must get the book and then we can co-read soon. Okay, maybe later in the year. I've committed to so many books already. And I'm in a reading rut now. But I'm gonna... yesterday I ended up sampling Behold the Dreamers. Let me go and see if Yewande's The Woman Next Door, if there's anything else that is written in the front. No, nothing. Yeah, so now we read 2 books by Yewande. This is what we read today. I hope you enjoyed it. You have the book. Okay, great. But when are you a fast reader? So maybe in June or maybe in July. Let's read in July. 1st of July we'll read Bom Boy. You must read Behold the Dreamers. Yes. Okay. There's so many books, guys. So little time. Anyway, I hope this reading encouraged you enough to actually go and get your own copy. And then we can co-read on the 1st of July. Okay. I'm going to go now and warm my tea before the chicken natives. Nikki, are you laughing at the fact that there's so many books and so little time? I mean, look at this stack. This stack is the books that I've read. So I actually should be putting it like this. Let me see. Yeah, no. Yeah, so it should be like this. So this is the stack of books that I should read. And this is a stack of books I've read. I will join you in July with Bom Boy. Okay, great. Look here. Now there's that many books that I must read. Guys. Yeah. So many books. And so little time. And there's some, if I could make do you guys separate your books according to the books that you've parked? Because I have parked The Help. I've parked some of the anthologies because I do go back to the anthologies. But now I've separated them in color. I don't know if you notice. There's blue, there's cream, there's a little bit of orange, in white and black, and brownish, and yellow, and white and black. See? So now I need to go back and regroup them into books that I've parked. Because there's books that really I think there's a season for every book, or there is... I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I believe a person has to be in a zone to go through a tough book. Today I was talking to someone and they asked me, who was I talking to? And we talked about Toni Morrison. So this is my Toni Morrison collection so far. But I actually want to confess and say I haven't read any of her books. Because I have 2 that I've parked. Nikki, was it you? I'm not sure who it was today. But anyway, these are what I've collected so far. And the last book I bought of hers was Race. And Race is like bits and pieces of of it includes selections from Song of Solomon, The Bluest Eye, Beloved, and Tony. And so Beloved, The Bluest Eye, and Song of Solomon. So maybe I will start with this so that I actually decide which book to read. So I've got Jazz, Love, The Bluest Eye, Sula, and Paradise. And I know I've got something else somewhere here which I removed from this collection because of color. Yeah, so those are some of the books that like I've parked. Books are like human beings. Sometimes you don't feel them at first encounter. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Like the Help for me, or maybe I bought it at the time when it was hyped, and then I was like, I don't know if I still have them. Even the Madonna of Excelsior, I bought it, and I bought it at a secondhand bookstore years ago. I think 2007. Yes, that's the date that's in here. And I got it signed at a Bantu at some point. Oh, I'm lying. It was at Amagama Enkululeko's book launch. Yeah, when he was there, and I don't know, I struggled with the Madonna of Excelsior. Nikki says, I read Sula and The Bluest Eye. Started with songs. I've put it aside for now. So I still need Song of Solomon. Guys, every time I come in with a tea, I always spill it. My poor son and his room smelling of tea. Okay, but yeah, so you are struggling with songs. And someone actually said we should start with Song of Solomon. Maybe I will get it and add it onto the collection and read that. How did you find Sula? You'll let me know in the DMs or on WhatsApp. How did you find Sula and The Bluest Eye? But yeah, I still need Beloved. Yeah, Beloved. I still need that. So, okay, guys, let's go to Cheeky Natives. I'll see you guys on the other side. Miss Wina says she likes my mapondos. Thanks. Bye.